everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing okay. I hope you are having a good day, a good healthy day. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so let's get right into it. Make sure you just, if you are here, before we get into anything, make sure you hit that like button for me. Somebody was mad in the chat the other day that I said hit the like button. I've never been asked to hit the like button when I come into a place. I would never. I blocked him. So there ain't nothing to talk about. What's wrong with you? You got some kind of problem. So anyway, fam, hit the like button if you are so inclined. Ain't nobody with you nowhere carrying pistols to make you do nothing. So just do it if you are so inclined. And ain't no need to put that as no comment. You wasting your time. Because when I go through that, I'm going to lawn mower through it. So anyway, fam, please make sure you hit the like button if you are so inclined. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to the channel. Hit that bell if you're not getting notifications. If you want to get notifications, please make sure that you do that, okay? Because I know the notifications have been acting up, and I would appreciate it if you would do that as well. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell, adosmerch.com for shirts. So you can do all of that good stuff, but please, hitting that like button costs you no money. And subscribing and checking that you get notifications costs you no money. Sharing this with your friends costs you absolutely nothing. So please make sure that you do that for me. I would appreciate it. So many free ways to help during the pandemic. Fam, we got to get right into it, and we ain't going to waste no time with it. Now, you remember, those of you who were with me last show will remember, right? You will remember that we were having a conversation, and I said, why are these little Negroes, Diddy and Charlemagne, putting up this little raggedy ragtag letter? Why are they putting up this little raggedy letter? It's ill written, spacing is wrong, and talking about Biden, he better pick a black woman, and we telling him now he ain't gonna win, he gonna lose. And I said, why are they threatening the man? It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense that this was so hurriedly and rushedly done. What happened? Now we know what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we know what happened now. We know that they knew, somebody gave them the heads up. Probably. I don't have no inside story, but I'm going to tell you what it looks like to me. It looks like to me somebody gave them the heads up. Kamala is going to be the pick. So since she's going to be the pick, what y'all need to do, y'all need to go on and put this out so it makes it look like you can pound your chest and make it look like you really did something. You really moved the needle. Well, on to you, darlings. But we have something else to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Listen. We have to talk about whether or not we learned anything from Obama. I'm seeing everybody. I'm seeing AKAs ski weed and throw pinky fingers up. I'm seeing people playing straddle the fence and act like they ain't straddling the fence. Well, I just put that post up. I'm Green Party. I just put that post up to kind of, talk to the people. Hush, 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 hush. So we have to have a conversation about whether we learned anything. And whether we understand anything about what happened to us and what was done to us. Because that too was a historic moment. Do you remember? And when I remember specifically saying, listen, after inauguration, I listened to that man's inauguration speech and I said, Obama ain't going to do nothing for us. That inauguration speech was basically saying, I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to be a moderate president who kind of does what all of them do. Because listen, here's what happens. The reason Kamala's not ADOS. Barack wasn't ADOS. And there's a reason why they're not. Because America never created ADOS. They kept us tethered to the bottom. Right? And so now what we're looking at, in terms of American descendants of slavery, now what we're looking at is other people come and sit into that place and anchor themselves and their political uplift, their political kind of how they are ingratiated into America. You're seeing them. We are the seed for that. So what has happened is our seed has been uprooted and other seeds have been planted into that space. And we have to get into what that is because we have been relegated to the bottom and America has never built us into a group. And so there's a reason, and we're going to get into it. But there's a reason why Obama and Kamala have both been so accommodationist to white supremacy. It's not just because, you just sell out. It's because nobody created a ADOS real group where we had wealth and we could move things and we had the levers of power. We don't have that. And instead of creating us to have that, you just have something here that looks like us that's planted in our place, but it's not us and we're still here. So let me just go to something because everybody's talking about what a historic moment this is, right? It's a historic moment. You're going to get more of this. There's nothing, this is just what it is. This is what you're going to end up with more of. You're going to end up with more of this. Now, at the end of the day, I want to tell you something. Look closely at this picture and see how similar they are. At the end of the day, what I want to tell you, family, is that this don't feed nobody. We went through this. We went through this. We already went through this. Why are we going through this again? Because they forced this on us. Understand? A lot of us, the reason Kamala didn't stay in the race any longer is because she kept messing up. And we said, you know what? We're not going to deal with this no more. We're not going to deal with Kamala and whatever she got going on. She dropped out before South Carolina. They said in her campaign there was no discipline, no management. It was a whole lot of stuff going on. And somehow she still ends up as VP. She was supposed to be president. She came out like the rising star and fell off. So now, let me slow down. Now what we have, please understand this. We have Jim Crow Joe and Kamala Top Cop Harris for a group of people who have been ravaged by mass incarceration. That's what we have. But it's even worse than that. We have people trying to convince us that because she is black, we should just stand with her. And they say at the end of it, well, the ancestors told me to say this. I want to know whose ancestors. Leonard told you to say that. The ancestors told me to tell you this. Here's what I do know. Whether you like Kamala or not, the current administration is going to unleash disgusting and disrespectful attack on her mainly because she is a black woman. We have to protect her and uplift her as much as possible throughout this campaign. I don't have to do nothing. And stop saying the ancestors talk to you and we know that they don't. You little weak-kneed Negro. Ain't nobody talking to you. There is nothing that respects that kind of weakness just to get the bag. And that's what we know you always been doing. And Trump is crazy. Yes, he's racist. Absolutely. But he's also crazy. He's been going at sleepy, whatever he called Joe Biden. He's been going at everybody. That's just the way he is. Sometimes you can be a racist and be an awful person and just be going at everybody. That's not my business. And I'm not going to, if you didn't see Antonio's show yesterday, go look at it. And go and look at the consequence of Kamala Harris's truancy law on one black mother. We don't even got to get into the rest. One black mother and her child who had a stroke at 13. And she never apologized. Because when you're a bottom caste, Kamala's Brahmin, top caste Indian, and everybody says she was anchored in her mother, you don't have to apologize to people that come from slaves. And that's why you're not apologizing to us for what you did. And it is kind of ridiculous to me that we are back here. We are back here at this place where everybody's saying you can't say nothing because, and they always go through this route too of silencing any kind of white leftist. So y'all better not say nothing. That's gonna make y'all racist. I remember Melissa Harris Perry did this too with Obama. Y'all better not say nothing, white leftists, because y'all so. Roland Martin, all these white progressives who are pissed off that Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris as his VP should STFU today. Y'all have no clue what today means to a lot of black women, especially old sisters. The tears of joy are real because the pain has also been real and enduring. What kind of pain, Roland, has been real and enduring for Kamala, who came here as the child? I'm not saying nothing nasty or disrespectful, but what kind of trauma did she come through? She came as a child. For those of you who have been living under a rock, Kamala is Indian and Jamaican. She's an immigrant, right? So what kind of trauma comes from having two affluent parents? Why should I cry at that? You led a very, very white life. Your father was at Stanford and economics professor. Your mother was a biology scientist. How in the world? Why in the world do we look at her as somehow reflecting what we have been through? Understand, slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, all the way through. That is us. That is our story. That is our lineage. That is who we are. That is not who she is. So I don't understand why I should be crying any tears for anything today. You are dealing with, also, let's just make this very clear. If you go throughout Kamala's career, what you see is something quite striking. Now, she's with Joe Biden now, and we're going to do it all the way. But I have never seen Kamala, she decided to run for one thing, right? She was going to be tough on crime. And that's why she dragged this black woman out of her house. The black woman who had a child, black mother, who had a child who was ill and had the paperwork. You dragged that woman out of her house. And for the cameras, you told the camera crews to be there to make it look like you tough on truants. You did that, Kamala. You never said you were sorry. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And now black women crying. For what? For who? Okay. Not only that, but then you tried to paint yourself in ADOSness. You tried to paint yourself as a little black girl. Right? There was a little girl in California who was bused to school. That little girl was me. Yeah, and then your mama moved you. Then your mama moved you to Canada. You don't ever talk about your years in Canada. Why don't we ever have a conversation about that? See, this is what you call, ladies and gentlemen, a careerist. And there's a lot of careerists. I'm not saying Kamala is the only one. I think Joe Biden is one too. People who want power for the sake of having power. People who want prestige for the sake of having prestige. We can't do that. Just in general, we can't do that. That's not something that we can do. That's not something that we should be approving of. We need people with values. We need people with values and somebody who can run something. Somebody who can do something. So if you go and look at that Political article, it's up on my Twitter. What they said is that she couldn't run a campaign. She couldn't run a campaign. Her sister couldn't help run the campaign. Now y'all got somebody who can't run a campaign within a heartbeat of being president of these United States of America. And let me tell you something else is going to happen while we're talking about it. Because she's a careerist. She's not going to be a team player. When she gets started, and this is not about she can't be ambitious. She is ambitious. Ain't nothing wrong with being ambitious, but for what? Your ambition is for what and for who? She's going to start running for president the minute she sets foot in the White House. It's just what it is. Anybody can see it. I don't understand what's so hard about understanding what's about to happen. I don't get it. This is, she's tough on crime. That's what it is. You think she gonna stop? You think she gonna switch it up? You see even Indians on Twitter saying, Indian Americans and Indians saying, listen, I am also Indian American, and I'm telling you directly, do not trust her. Indians don't see themselves as black unless we are forced to. And she skated her entire career. Again, I ask you, family, what are we crying for? What are we going to cry through another historic moment where we don't get any policy? And don't tell me, well, Yvette, if we don't do this, what is we going to do? What is we going to do? We got to do something. We can't has no Trump. We can't has Yvette. What is us going to do? Don't tell me that. Because we had a whole plan in terms of reparations, and we put it out and we reached out to candidates. They chose not to. They chose these people. So you chose whatever happens to you. You chose that. You could have come on board and said, you know what? ADOS has a point. These American descendants of slavery have been here. They have been here and they have been bottom cast, and we're going to make this right. You could have done that. I had a campaign for you. You chose not to. So I'm not going to change what I stand for because you decided to pick her and put her on the ticket. I'm not doing that. That's not me. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's some of y'all. I don't know. It's not me. It's very clear. You don't even see a lot. You don't even see a lot of Jamaicans online talking about Kamala, because that's her blackness. You don't see none of that. You don't see that. Kamala Harris gives all credit for what she is to her mother, Shayamala Harris, a Tamilian who immigrated to the U.S. in 1958 to become a cancer specialist. Was active in the civil rights movement. I ain't seen no pictures. Kamala's sister Maya worked for Hillary Clinton, blah, 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 blah. Now, I want you to put a pin in this. You see, that's 1958. I want you to understand something. Most immigrants came here after 1965, the Immigration Act of 1965. Now, I want you to understand something. I want you to understand something very clearly. Kamala's mother was able to come here in the 1950s and have a daughter that became president. That's like one generation. Understand that. Understand that. As ADOS, I want you to follow me clearly here. Here are our first Congress people. Right here. You know when this is? I want somebody to tell me when we had our first. Our first Congress people. It was right after Reconstruction. When was it? I want you to tell me when it was, because we're gonna play something all the way out. It was the 1870s. Yes, right. It was right around yes, exactly. 1867, 1870. That's when we had our first. Now I want you to understand something. Please understand this if you don't understand nothing else. Please understand this. And ask yourself about this. And ask yourself about the betrayal of ADOS by America. How does somebody who came here in the 1950s have a daughter and immediately become president? And we had our first Congress people in the 1800s. It's 2020. And we still don't have and have not had an ADOS president. We should have had a few of them. The only reason we didn't is because America decided to turn us over to the KKK and the white mobs and Dixie. They turned us over to white racists and didn't protect us. The white racists and the Confederates, the traitors, took the land away from us and made us back into slaves without the chains. That's what happened. Our right, our birthright has been stolen. That's what we're looking at. This is theft. America has decided to skip over us, to skip all the way over us and move away from us and give it to somebody who looks like us. They have decided that they are not going to fix us. And let me tell you something. You ain't gonna get no reparations with Kamala. You think she's concerned? As far as she's concerned, and as far as America is concerned, these people who look like us but are not us and do not have our lineage, who have white lives, and white family and white careers and white social capital, America has decided that these people are our reparations, and Kamala does not disagree. That's the decision that has been made. Now, we have enough time to push back, and I thought we might have been smart enough to push back after Obama. Okay, Obama was a great lesson for a lot of us, people in the chat, a lot of other people, but why is anybody crying for Kamala? She will say anything. This is just an ambitious careerist. See, what happens? You're not going to get reparations with Kamala and Joe Biden. You're not going to get it with Sheila Jackson Lee. Understand that the woman in charge of reparations, the reparations bill, is saying that we are at the mountaintop. You are in charge of, like, if you're a Republican, why would you do anything? If you are a conservative and you don't really want to do reparations anyway, and the Congresswoman in charge of reparations has said the selection of Kamala Harris is the mountaintop, why wouldn't you say, you told me last week you was at the mountaintop, you dizzy lady? Why then do we have a problem? You got the mountaintop, y'all got Kamala, go for it, knock yourself out. You're not going to have no reparations with her. You're not going to have it. It's just not going to happen. And it's a shame. And it's sad. But you're not going to have it. Kamala's not concerned. Y'all saw the video. Y'all remember the video of J.B. Fowler where he was chasing her down and she was running? And she was running and running and running and running. And she said, what about your housing and your Lift Act or whatever that little dumb stuff she said before they slammed the door because it was too stupid. She didn't want to talk to us. This is going to be an immigration and Indian story. This is not even going to be a Jamaican story because her daddy don't even deal with her from what I see, and nobody ever explained that to me. Look at what it says right here. As a child of immigrants, this is what Joe Biden said about her. As a child of immigrants, she knows personally how immigrant our families enrich our country, as well as the challenges of what it means to grow up Black and Indian, Indian American in the United States of America. Her story is America's story, different from mine in many particulars, but not so different in the essentials. That's interesting. Not so different in the particulars. I don't know why anybody is looking. These people are writing a lot of little silly articles. Why are you looking to Kamala Harris to reconcile anything? She doesn't need anything to be reconciled. She has never bore the cost. Why would she be a beacon of reconciliation? The only group that can do that is ADOS, because we bore the cost. What cost has Kamala bore? Her parents are professionals. High income professionals. That's who they were. What is the cost of that? I'm not talking about everyday incidents of racism. Don't get, y'all miss me with that, because you can be a Mexican, an Ecuadorian, or anybody and have an individual incident or be treated a certain way by a white racist. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the cost of slavery and Jim Crow and mass incarceration and everything that happened, and how we've been tethered to the bottom. How we have as ADOS an anchor around us neck to hold us down, while you, Kamala, can use our story and use our narrative to float your butt to the top. That's what we're talking about, and that's what has happened. There's no reason at all that any of us should be happy or anyway crying or ski-weeting because of that. This is weird to me. This whole exchange is very odd. The way people are behaving is almost like, it's almost like we're back in the day of old, where we were talking about Obama, and even Kamala was able to develop social capital with Biden's son, and stuff that we don't have that. We don't have none of that. I don't think we understand. Everybody who is laying claim to Kamala right now too. Let me see if I can find this. The people who are laying claim to her in this moment. Everybody is talking about her Indian American heritage and what that means. That's the claim, and that's who's going to benefit, because she said everything I am comes from my mother. When you say that her mother's Indian, when you say that, she doesn't, even her sister said that in a tweet. Nobody mentions her father. Understand what you're getting when you see that and when you hear that. I don't care where she went to school. Understand what that means. The sense of the influential grandfather, the sense of justice was shaped in large part by, and I've read some of this before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. P.V. Gopalan, who as a diplomat worked to help resettle refugees from East Pakistan, modern day Bangladesh, and India after the country partition, according to Harris's maternal uncle. Gopalan Balachandran. Once Biden said he was going to nominate a woman, Balachandran thought it was very, very likely it would be Harris, based on her experience and background. Balachandran said Harris said he and Harris don't speak that often, in large part due to distance and the demands of being a high-ranking U.S. politician. Every time she has an opportunity to talk about it, she highlights, or they highlight, their influence. Right? When asked if he had a message for his niece, Balachandran remembered something his sister used to say. Shyamala always said, never sit still. If you can do something, do something. He said, make her proud, make Shyamala proud. So yeah, make your mama proud. All the articles today. See, that's what happens. People use you to get the nomination or whatever, and use you, but they're not really you. The same way we talk about Obama, say, "Oh, he was a black man. He's a black man with a white mama." Maybe he was a white man with a black daddy. You ever think about that? Stop kind of overlaying onto people your experience and your life because they share an appearance that looks like yours. So Kamala Harris, Indian American identity is finally in the spotlight. Yep, now that she got nominations in the spotlight. Because understand that you couldn't There was no way to put that in the spotlight. You have to understand why it wasn't in the spotlight at first. It wasn't in the spotlight at first because Indian Americans don't have the legacy in this country. You can't really have it coming after the Immigration Act of 1965. America's ours, 400 years. It's ADOS. So you can't have the legacy. Same for a lot of white immigrants. You can't have the legacy. So you just got to paint yourself white. You can't have the legacy. You have no legacy here, right? You didn't build the country that we did. You didn't do the freedom struggle that we did. You don't have it. So what has to happen is you have to have us. You have to paint yourself as us to get where you got to go. Now, once you've done that, you can have everybody come out of the woodwork and talk about who you really are. Right? That's kind of where we are. Now we're talking about who you really are. But you had to paint yourself in ADOSness and dance to Cardi B to kind of get in that space and, move around and dance offbeat. All that kind of stuff. You had to do it. You had to say, I am that little girl on the bus. That was me on that bus. You painted yourself as us. That's kind of frauding, isn't it? So let's see what this article says. In a much different way, her relationship with Indian Americans is also complex, even at this late date. Some may be surprised to discover that Harris is half Indian, as has often happened in previous times. What? Kamala Devi Harris shares her first name with an Indian beloved flower, a Hindu deity, and a Bahari river. Her middle name literally means goddess in Hindu. She has spoken and written proudly of her mother, an Indian-born doctor and activist, and of her grandfather, an Indian civil servant and high-ranking diplomat. In her memoirs, Harris referred to her grandfather as a fighter for Indian independence from British rule, something that family members have disputed. Sounds like you done made something up. She was raised primarily by Gopalan, who divorced her father, the Jamaican-born economist and activist Donald Harris, when she was a child. As Kamala wrote in her memoir, her mother was her biggest influence. The family often visited India when she was younger, and Gopalan's family instilled us with our pride, put pride in our South Asian roots. This is who she is. This is who she is. But also Harris's mother understood very well that she was raising two black daughters. See, they always throw that in there. She was, no. I need the civil rights pictures too, but that's not who you are. All that means that left-leaning Indian Americans during my lifetime have been starved for representation, which has long made me wonder, why hasn't Harris made a bigger deal of her Indian roots? When asked about her identity, she tends to call herself American and doesn't delve too deeply into any specifics regarding her Indianness. She's married to a white man, Douglas Einoff, to the woe of Indian aunties who would have preferred she married a nice Desi boy. I'm sure, though, she did incorporate some Indian wedding traditions in her nuptials. She has long claimed, now for those of you who don't know, she did. And I'm going to talk about that in just one second. She has long claimed to be proud of who she is when asked about the South Indian and the Tamil roots. Blah, 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 blah. But let me just say this. When she got married, right? This is her husband. Her husband is Jewish. When she got married, what she did was they exchanged something, they exchanged things, whatever, and he exchanged something, gave something to her to represent his Jewish heritage, and she gave something to him to represent her Indian heritage. No gifts were exchanged or given to represent her Jamaican heritage. But you're doing, like, Jamaican is an ADOS, but you're doing the Jamaican as a through line to blackness. But it doesn't sound to me like you're anchored in it at all. I feel alive. I felt it all along. We know it. That's your wedding day. That's very important to you. He's Jewish. You gave him something to represent his heritage. Why didn't you give something to represent your Jamaicanness if you're so proud of both sides of your family? Why did you just give something to represent your Indianness, your Indian heritage? People have to be who they are. And what's going to happen, something very slick is going to happen, family. Let me just tell you that. Something very slick is going to happen. What's going to happen is this, right? So we're having this whole thing. We're going to start having conversations about, we talked about, how everybody said gay is the new black and all of this stuff. Immigrants is going to be the new black. I saw somebody with a t-shirt on that was hugging Ocasio-Cortez, what's the child's name? Whatever the child's name is. And anyway, he had a shirt on that says Latino is the future. He didn't say people of color is the future. He didn't say the solidarity is the future. He said Latino is the future. So it makes it look like when you have this, so you have this trajectory of presidents. When you have presidents that go from all white to like white and Kenyan, and then Indian and Jamaican. What you have is this idea, this throughway that like whiteness flowed into immigration and whatever. You don't have us represented there. And it makes it look really like we were not there. Like we were not here. Like we were not in America building it. We never got that. So it went straight. It just skipped right over us. So if you're an alien coming down and you look at this president, you might say, oh, America is built by immigrants and white people. You don't see us represented, and it's no fault of our own. This is going to be the story from now on. This is going to be the story. It will not be our story. We will not be represented in this story. We just won't. This narrative is changing. So this narrative, understand, this narrative went from kind of announcing at Howard University, but then calling myself American. And announcing on MLK Day, right? You cloaking yourself in blackness. I'm going to cloak myself in this HBCU and MLK. Now the narrative is changing to immigration, immigrants. I come from immigrant parents. I come from a good stock or whatever the case may be, right? That's the narrative now. That's the conversation. And there are other little crazy people who are shifting the narrative even further. Who are trying to say, really, we're all African Americans. Now, if you haven't lived the cost, understand how stupid this is. Understand how stupid this is. If you have not lived through, and your lineage has not lived through sharecropping and slavery and everything that made us the bottom caste, how in the world does this little strange, crazy man come over here and say we're all African Americans? See, that's what these people are awful. How do you say that, Torre? This is not about, has never been about. And it's stupid that we didn't understand race enough to understand that this has never been about just complexion, you dodo bird. This is not about complexion. But this is the same man who went on TV and said, oh, I did my DNA, I'm Jewish. And well, whatever. I don't give a rat's butt. But my point is this. You don't get to say that. You little, oh, he's so stupid. The cost, this is about what we talk about in terms of race is not melanin. This is about the cost that we bear. The thing that kept us tethered to the bottom. There is a cost to being ADOS in this country. And it's about lineage. It's not about whether you have some DNA of African or black or whatever the case may be. It's not about your DNA. It's about the cost that you bore, that we bore. We live around toxic waste dumps and come from slavery and all the stuff after slavery, Reconstruction, KKK, took everything we had, got stole. That's what it's about. You can't think your way out of a paper bag. That's the problem. And people see you and you got a blue check and you on TV and you can't think and you don't care enough about us to actually think about us. You don't live around us. You're not with us. You just say stuff to make it okay for Kamala. So what are we going to get in the coming days, right? What's the next coming days look like? Because obviously nobody understands race. Even Cory Booker says, well, your skin color determines, the color of your skin is the biggest determinant of whether you'll be poisoned. No, it's not. It's a lot of Indian Americans in this country. Like, let me see if I can bring up this chart because it's a lot. I'm going to pull this up. your skin color. Nobody understands race because they created it. People have created it as this flat blackness thing, and that's not what it is. So he doesn't understand what he's talking about. Well, it's your skin color. No. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about plunder, and we're talking about what that plunder means for a specific group of people. What are you talking about, Cory Booker? You're ADOS and you don't understand race? This is what we're talking about. This is what you have to understand. Now, we brought this chart up before, but this helps you to understand what we're trying to say. So it's not about race, because I want you to look at this. Let me make it a little bit bigger so that everybody can see. Hold on 1 second. It's not about it's your skin color. It's about whether or not you got melanin. That's what it is. So look at U.S. black. Median value $200. That's $200. You look at that. You look at African black at 60,000, right? You go down and you see. You just have to. This is just the most amazing chart. So go down right to the bottom. Asian Indian, right? 245,000. That's what it is. That's what it is. Look at that. 245,000 to our 200. Do y'all see that down at the very bottom? This is not about whether or not your skin is dark. There are a lot of people in Silicon Valley, leading companies, who are darker than me, darker than a lot of y'all. There are a lot of them. This is not about skin color. There are a lot of people who are darker than us who are doing very well in America. It's not about that. It is about lineage. And if we can't get people to understand race, and if we can't as a group fight for what race has meant for us, because I'm about through with this blackness stuff, just being black. No, this is about ADOS, and everybody got to tell me everybody got to know who they are, where they come from, how long they've been here, right? Because that makes it easier not only to fight, but decide who is an ally and who is not an ally. That makes it easy for everything. You have got to understand race and what race has meant. Because this whole blackness thing is sort of a fiction anyway that white people made up for something to be juxtaposed against whiteness. Or they're black. And then they get to decide who gets to become white. No, I'm not doing that no more. It's lineage. I'm ADOS. That's just it. All of this stuff is happening because people just don't understand race. And we have to find a way to come outside of that. None of this works if we don't understand race. It just don't. Kamala's a careerist, so she say one thing, then she believe the accusers, and then she walk off and say something else. Plan this whole thing down to the itty bitty. Then remember this? This is careerism, people. She sold them little shirts for like $29 that made it look like she was the one getting bust and all that stuff. This is careerist stuff. Do we understand that? I mean, can we grapple around? Can we wrap our heads around that? And so it's going to become the whole thing. So Karen Jean-Pierre is Haitian immigrants, Haitian roots. So she's going to be going Kamala's whatever she's on the team. So you're going to have this. It's just everybody. We just get skipped over. That's just what it is. America decided we're not going to fix y'all. We're not going to fix y'all. We're not in the mood to fix Negroes. The people who come from slavery, we're not going to invest because reparations is the fix. A lot has to go with that fix in terms of policy and protections and carving out land and different things that you can't just give money. We have to be able to find our positionality. So a lot has to go with that. And America has decided we don't want to do all that work. And too many of us decided, well, we're not going to fight for that. We're just going to cheer for Kamala. Right? What does that mean? What does it mean? Y'all remember, and she's of Haitian. Y'all remember the Miami chart that had Haitians with more wealth than ADOS? Skin color is very, very, very deluding. So understand something. I want you to look at this chart one more time. Now this is Asian Indian at the bottom, 245,000. Now I talked about it in the context of having more than black people, which is 200. But make sure you look at the line at the top, which is white people. Asian Indians, this is LA, I think. But understand something. I want you to look at don't just look at the median value. Go over here and look at median value. Go over to the other side too. Right? Now, look at that 460,000 too in terms of like when we talk about assets and different things. Understand that these people got more than white people trying to act like you black. You're cloaking yourself in blackness and you got 245. White people got 110. On the other side, you talking about 460 versus 355. You got more than white people and you cloaking yourself in blackness, and we are cheering on somebody who comes from a group where when we talk about value and assets, you got more than white people. What are you cheering for? What are you happy about? I'm trying to understand. This is the only reason, please. I want everybody to understand something as you look at this chart. The only reason you're supposed to cheer is because if you see an ADOS person become president, it's because that signals that we as a group have been elevated. So we come from slavery and now we've made it here. That's not what Kamala represents. So there's no reason to cheer. She doesn't represent coming from slavery. She's supposed to represent our collective upward mobility. She doesn't represent that. Let me come outside. Let me come out of this. She doesn't represent any kind of upward mobility for us. She represents coming from two affluent immigrant parents. That has nothing to do with us and is in no way aligned with our story. How are we so confused? Would you cheer the same way as Kamala was Ecuadorian or Pakistani? From Pakistani parents who do, what are you doing? Because it's the same kind of story. Just because she has a black parent doesn't make the story different. And this is not an up from the bottom story. She has this story because she comes from affluent people. We do not. And as long as we keep cheering, ain't nobody gonna fix us. We just gonna be here. And she anchors immigrants inside of our story. And so our story never gets told. You become the seed that's planted inside of our story. And so you become our story because we co-sign it. Instead of saying, listen, Kamala, be who you are and tell us about policy. I'm not going to do this historic stuff with you. And when we asked her about policy specific to us, she said, I'm not going to do anything specifically for black people. No, because what's good for black people is good for America. Right. She told us that class fixes race, and we know it doesn't. So what now? I know what the expectation is now. The expectation is for just a bunch of for brown people to just kind of, have their thing and do their thing and live wonderful lives and we don't have anything. That's the whole plan. But I'm going to tell you, if that plan goes through, it's just going to be game over for us. Because we're not the same group. Let me show you. For 1 year, all South Asians in the U.S. were considered white. Racially designating South Asians, especially from the Indian subcontinent, is complicated. India is home to more than 2,000 ethnic groups. In the early 1900s, scholars believe that a major ancestral group, the Aryans, migrated to the subcontinent from Europe. They indisputably integrated into Indian culture. I'm not reading that. One of the most well-known ancient Indian epics tells the story of Aryan warriors who fought among their families for political and spiritual legitimacy. They grouped into an elite, fair-skinned class, possibly explaining the diversity in skin tones of Indians today, and possibly explaining the caste system. And when is Kamala going to? That's the caste system. So that explains why it might be okay for you. That caste system explains why you might not have any problem with snatching a mama out of her house, or ADOS mama out of her house, and everything that came along with it, because of this truancy policies and having the police and stuff outside, because we've been designated as welfare queens, so everybody like, what's she doing there? And why her child ain't in school? You never apologize. You ever apologize to this black man right here, who Kamala Harris prosecutor sent this innocent man to prison. Kamala Harris's prosecutor sent this innocent man to prison for murder. Now he's talking. Did you even say, like, I have really messed up? No, because we're bottom caste. You just use us to get to where you got to go. And now everybody's crying and ski-weeing. So I don't know where we go. Where we going to go now? Fam, it's very interesting. And there was an article that said something that was very telling. Now I want you to read this. Why Kamala Harris matters to me. And there's a line in here that is very, very interesting. It says, as an Indian American professor of African American history, I'm experiencing Biden's vice presidential pick as a gift. Now, you might ask, well, why is she this kind of professor? Well, I think that will explain to you why Kamala is this kind of politician. It makes sense. Now, listen to what she said. I want you to see if you catch it. After graduation, I interviewed across the country for college positions teaching early American history. So what she's telling you is that I wanted to teach early American history, and I kept running into a roadblock. I was asked over and over again why, as an Indian woman, I chose to study the history of slavery and the Civil War. Right? That's what she's telling you. So I tried to do this one thing about American history, and it didn't work out. So what ended up happening? So, hold on. Usually I describe the connections between Mahatma Gandhi's notion of, I'm tired of these words, the struggle for truth, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s version of nonviolent resistance. The one interview where no one asked me that question was for an assistant professor position in African American studies. I took that job. What she revealed, and I don't even know if she understood what she revealed, is how easy it is to fold yourself into blackness in this country in terms of what ADOS are, right? Get a job that way. You can become a politician that way. You might even become vice president that way if you just slide yourself in to ADOSness, because for whatever reason we don't ask no questions. We just happy to have you there. You happy to be at the party. She didn't do that because she wanted to do it, because she had decided, I love African Americans. I just want to study their history and be a part of. No, it worked out for you for a very specific reason, because they didn't ask you why you were doing this. Now, when you were trying to do white history, because that's what people consider, it's not what it is. This is a history that was slavery, but that's considered American history. They consider it white. It's not. It's ADOS and white. It's not just white. But they consider that American history. So why do you want to do American history? Well, we got to figure this out. No, but when you want to do African American history, whatever, we don't care. So you did it because that's what got you the job. And that's what Kamala's doing, because that's what going to get her the job. And once you get in there, you're going to figure it out. Once she gets in there, everybody going to figure it out. And don't come running to ADOS or me or anybody else and tell us, well, I thought I don't care. Live your life. This is the middle of coronavirus. You're finna get evicted and all kind of stuff from your place, and all kind of stuff, bad stuff about to happen. Don't come to me talking about, I thought Kamala was going to be different. I'm not listening. You got to pass some of y'all during the Obama administration. I'm not giving out no more passes. And as I end this, I want to say what should have happened. This is the story that we should have been telling. Now, this story should have happened a long time ago. But the story that should have happened a long time ago is that we should be showing images of slavery we should be at a ADOS woman by now. We should already have had an ADOS man president. We should be at a woman by now, ADOS woman. And we should be showing images of cotton fields, of tobacco farms. We should be showing images of sharecroppers. We should be showing images of the KKK. We should be showing the images of how black people fought back. Right? After the war, how many black men after the war fought back. And they said they're not going to be slaves, be doing one thing, fighting for freedom abroad, and they don't have freedom at home. We should be talking about the black women who were leaders in the movement and how we've come from there to the presidency. That's the story that we should be telling right now. That's the story that you should be seeing on TV right now. And we've never seen that story. 400 years, and we've never seen that story. We have been robbed of a powerful moment in our own history. And we don't have that moment. We don't have any kind of Kamala is going to be just as accommodationist as anybody else, because we don't have any wealth, because we were never made into any kind of real population. We were plundered, stolen from. We couldn't protect our own intellectual property. Henrietta Lacks and her sales to people's recipes, to inventions to inventions in terms of heart surgery, we don't have any of the stuff we invented to pass down. We've been robbed of all of our inheritance. So we couldn't build a big group to donate money and do all the things that are necessary, have social capital to put somebody in the White House. And America is taking it from us. And instead of saying to America, you have robbed us and you have taken everything from us, we are celebrating something that is not us. It's fine. She should have run on being, first gen, president, whatever. We allowed her to cloak ourselves because she went to a HBCU. You don't think she had that already planned? I do. I've known too many people. But that's the story we should be watching right now. And we've just been robbed of our own story time and time and time again. So, fam, give me a couple seconds. I'm going to set up the phone because I want to hear from y'all. I want to hear what everybody got to say. Just give me a couple minutes, set up the phones, and we're going to have the conversation. We are back because I want to get to the calls. I know a lot of people got a lot to say, so I'm not trying to get real quick and get right back into it because a lot of people got a lot of opinions and I understand all of that. So I want to get to what everybody has to say. So I'm going to go to my first caller after I get my marker. So I'm going to 925. 925, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette.
Hey, how you doing?
Angel. I'm calling from Oakland, California. I'm so nervous.
Take your time.
Shout out to my homegirl, Lisa. My homegirl, Mimi. Ada's in the house. I was calling just to say that, I'm having conversations with everyone I know, telling them about, the importance of, ethnicity and acknowledging that, and how Kamala is not, she's not a part of ethnicity, and how appreciate it. Get our support to be vice president. And so I just want to say that. Thanks for all that you're doing.
Thank you, fam.
I hope that, you guys continue to do the fight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's all. We just can do what we can do. We just, all we got to do is do what we can do. 415, I'm coming to you. 415, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hey, 415, what's going on?
Hi, I'm in San Francisco.
What's going on, San Fran?
And I'm telling people, don't waste your time with that prosecutor and that warden. I'm not going to vote for them or Trump. I plan on announce this election in terms of
Down
the
ballot,
presidency.
down ballot.
I'll go for, local stuff. But
Yeah.
as far as that part about the vice president, I'm going to leave that part blank.
Yeah,
Okay?
me too. Down ballot. Down ballot all the way.
I talked to a brother one time in a cab. He told me he went to court for a misdemeanor, and Kamala Harris brought up all this stuff from the days when he was a juvenile.
Oh.
So that prosecutor was aggressive in terms of getting black people in jail, even if it was just misdemeanors.
Uh-huh.
And I just tell black people, wait a minute. If you go to a peaceful rally and it gets out of hand and you get arrested, Kamala Harris and Biden is probably not going to have any sympathy for you. They're going to be in a hurry to get you in prison. So why would you want somebody like that as a vice president and a president?
Especially given our history with the law. Like, why? And we already got Jim Crow. Joe, you going to add to that?
Yeah, in terms of reparations, no more wooden $5 Indians with us on any programs. There's a lot of lessons to be learned from what went wrong with affirmative action, what went wrong from the 8 years of Obama. And that's something I keep reminding black people of. And when I heard she was the vice president, I jumped on the phone and called everybody I knew and said, don't waste your time with them two. Worst comes to worst, just sit the election out.
Yeah, vote down ballot for me. I think you got the right idea. Do your local stuff. Do your local initiatives. But no, I'm not doing this. And y'all put us in this position. Like, we got to stop acting like, well, what you going to do then? What you going to do? No, you put us in this position. We told you from jump. We've been telling you over a year. We've been telling you actually about 2 years, but well over a year. Like, this is what we need. This is what our agenda is. And you chose to ignore us. This is your fault, not ours.
Yeah, check this out. They're going to get her. She talking about she can do nothing special for blacks. But her and Biden, they're going to do something for the gays, the women, the Jews, the immigrants. And blacks are the most loyal constituents of the Democratic Party. So their most loyal constituents are going to do nothing for?
Nope.
Who's the crazy one here?
Not us. We get it.
I urge every black person to call everybody they know and say don't waste your time with Biden and Trump and all them folks. They're not getting, neither party's giving us anything to vote for.
No.
So worst comes to worst, don't vote for the president and the vice president part of the election ballot. Move on.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. And I think worse is I think worse has already come to worse. Thank you, fam. I think worse has already come to worse. Like, this is the worst. This is the worst ticket. We got a history of mass incarceration, over policing, and broken windows policing, and y'all want to give us the top cop and the Jim Crow Joe, who said, anyway, I ain't gonna even say that. But let me go to the next call. 310, what's going on?
What up, Yvette? This is Antonio. I just want to hit 3 points. The first thing is, make sure you check out the interview with Sheree Peoples. Sheree Peoples was interviewed by the Huffington Post. Human cost of Kamala's truancy war and what it does is it really expresses the heartbeat of Adolf in a way and the consequence of that on your life. And I think that as I look at that thing, you really got to understand that there's some chicanery going on, because I want to make sure everybody understands that Kamala did the pilot program herself in San Francisco. During that pilot plan, she would have her own prosecutor sit in on meetings with parents. I don't know how proper that is, because you're gathering information that then can be used for prosecution. I don't know why a prosecutor would need to sit in with a parent. But beyond that, with Sheree Peoples' story, I'm hearing a lot of people not understand. Watch the whole video before you talk on my videos and leave comments. Because what happened was Kamala championed. When I say championed, she basically wrote this law where it made something that was not criminal. I want everybody to understand as a criminal defense attorney, I've talked to cops extensively. They do not like to arrest pregnant women. In order for them to arrest a pregnant woman, there had to be a heavy push on a policy level to make that incentivized. And that's what Sheree people were speaking to. And those incentives and that set of policy was written by Kamala Harris on her own. I need you to understand that and champion. And so, like, as I move forward with this first point, the other thing I want everybody to be able to hold is hold people responsible. Tell them, look, we're coming through COVID. People not going to have jobs, and they made schools online. I don't know how people don't understand how quickly this can become an issue when Kamala has already used truancy laws at a statewide level, at a state the size of California, where if she does go national, that person has to own that vote and own it with you personally. Every time you see them, that black people went to jail behind how they decided to do politics. If she does decide to take something of this type national, because she already told you who she was before you voted for her.
Yeah.
And I really think with COVID in place and the online schools, and they're not going to know what to do, it's not a far-fetched possibility. Now, moving to the second point, part of the issue we're seeing, there was a Daily Beast article that made a point about the ingratiating nature. If you pull up the Kamala picture with Jill Biden and Joe, if you can, if you look, she's doing a lot of performance. It's okay that you're the vice president. I don't need you to. You don't do that kind of performance unless y'all real old friends. Not if you just try to go at him at the debate and all that. This lady's a character on a whole nother scale. Now, part of the reason why I'm bringing this up is we get lost in talking about the reality of this happening through whiteness, but it's really through wealth. So what you see is that the middle black family in Los Angeles worth $200 liquid, Boston $8, in Miami $11, native AEOS family. The foreigners tend to have much more wealth, whether it's Haitians in Miami, Yvette alluded to earlier, they have $2,000 liquid. They come from the poorest country in the hemisphere, and they have $2,000 liquid of the middle family versus $11 for the middle Adolf family. Here, you see with black Africans, they have $70,000 liquid, $65,000 liquid. The middle in Los Angeles has $200 Adolf family. The reason why I'm bringing that up in context of this is what you see is if we have $200 and $11 and $8, there should be no black president. Because what you find is that it's not just the ingratiating nature of those candidates. They are purely a reflection of white wealth. Because that's who created them. Because we don't have enough wealth to create like national level politicians. That's what $200 means. Yep. I don't even know if you have enough wealth to create local ones with that kind of wealth. And I think that as a result, you just have the appearance of politics rather than the reality of politicians. And this is where we're at today. And I wish everybody the best that thought that she was a great choice, from Angela Rye to Diddy. And I need them to understand, I'm coming for you when the politics come out wrong. And so, like, now let's move to the last point. The last point I want to say to you is that chart that shows Los Angeles that Yvette pulled up. If you pull it up one more time, this is the last point. What it shows is that this might be the end of blackness as we understood it. The whole archetype, the whole system is designed out of a premise of a black-white wealth gap. Well, if brown people have more wealth, extensively more wealth than white folks, this black-white paradigm no longer captures the consequence of lineage. And at that point, you got to redevelop everything and just be Adolf. So what do I mean? So if white folks have $355,000 at the middle, they have $355 hard. Let's look at the second column. That's one. And Indians have $460. That's $100,000 of more liquid wealth. And black folks have $30,000 it says, and 200 of it is liquid. Adolf's black folks. What it means is that we cannot look at this through the myopic imagery of just black and white, the simplicity of black and white. We have to become much more dynamic, and that means that we got to go through lineage and disregard this whole blackness because we can't use it no more. Because color don't tell you enough. If brown people got more than white people, what's the point of race anymore in America, right? I'm just saying it straight. Because at that point, what you get is that white people will not want to do the policy you need because they look around and see brown people that have more than them. And they do, because they were imported here.
No.
She could have inherited $1 million. It's very possible. She inherited $1 million from her mama. Whereas Obama inherited $500,000 from his white grandmother, we only found out because it happened during his presidency. We don't know that. But in addition, I'm just saying to you that this is the middle numbers for the ones now. She probably got more than that by far. And understand this is LA, and her mama was in San Francisco, then moved to Canada, and was a high end.
Okay.
All I'm saying, my biggest point as I end out is just to say what this chart does is bring to question this whole kind of chicanery around blackness and color, and it makes you have to understand it no longer works if it isn't built on this racial wealth gap because they don't fit on the chart. There's a reason why they leave the Latinos on the chart, but not put the Indian numbers. Why are the Indians not on the wealth chart? Why aren't the Indians on there? Just put them on there so we can see them outpace the white folks way above, and so we can say that's Kamala. And if we don't get real nimble, real fast, Adolf's going to be the bottom like you ain't seen in 100 years. I'm just saying, because we're racing towards that. And I'm just saying to Adolf, keep up your chin. Y'all did the work. The same time, you got to hold people accountable. Let's keep pushing forward.
Thanks, Antonio. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think, we did it. Like, we don't have to, and we don't have to feel bad for anything. And like, don't tell me, well, I didn't know when, once COVID hits, because we don't know what's going to happen once COVID hits. Like, kids can't go to school, and nobody has said, like, we know that ADOS are primarily, like, disproportionately essential workers. So, those of us who have jobs, we saw the last show, remember what we saw the last show, right? About only, like, 20-some-odd% of ADOS people say that they can probably make rent. We're going to see, like, mass homelessness amongst our group. Kamala's not going to help with that. She's already backtracking. Like, let me see if I can see it. Let me see if I can bring this up for y'all. Kamala's already backtracking on what she said initially. She said something. Y'all remember what she said about everybody should get $2,000 a month or something like that? Y'all remember that? I can't find it, but she said that, and a reporter went out and said that now, like, her team, the Biden camp will not commit to what she said. Right? What that means is like, nah, you said some stuff and we're not doing, like, this is not going to work. This is not going to, I don't know what we're trying to do. But anyway, let me go to the next call. 862. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Good evening, Yvette. This is Jonathan Edwards calling from Asheboro, North Carolina, by way of Newark, New Jersey.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Long time no hear from. I got into a couple of these conversations earlier today, and it was primarily with black women. My mother-in-law, old friend from high school, pretty much just every black woman I passed in the street. And I immediately said that she's problematic at best as a candidate for president, but as a candidate for vice president, she gets washed clean with the Joe Biden, the new apologetic Joe Biden. But I often tell people the best indicator of the future is the past. So this guy wrote the 91 crime bill, 94 crime bill. He stood on that crime bill for the last 20 years, 30 years. He's been standing on it. And now, because it's politically expedient, he's going to walk away from it, and he's going to act like it was a misstep, and it was a flub, and it wasn't meant to do what I stood in the Senate, in the House, and everywhere I could get a chance, and say, yeah, I'm trying to lock y'all up. I'm trying to send you away. I need you away from my mama. I need you away from my daddy. Like, we're focusing way too much on Kamala.
Well, but we've already focused on him. Like, we already talked about why he's awful. Like, we already had the conversation about how Jim Crow Joe is awful. Like, we're only having this conversation about awful. We're only having this conversation about Kamala because she just got picked. She just got picked. So we didn't even know we was going to have Kamala until he picked her.
But the other thing is that he only picked her because she doesn't harm him. He's already ahead in the polls. So he's like, you know what? If this is going to lock the black vote up, let me just pick somebody that I know, A, it's not going to harm me politically by making me do something specifically for black people. She's not going to put me in a bad position where I'm going to have to actually come up with a black agenda.
Yeah.
If he chooses Stacey Abrams or any of the other myriad of black women that were supposedly in the bucket for choosing, some of them are going to bring real issues to the table.
Well, I'll tell you another thing,
And
though,
they're
Carla.
gonna-
I'll tell you another thing. He picked her also because they have the same view on crime. They can't
Right.
say it no more because it's politically incorrect, but they're both tough on crime people. And they have that in common.
Right.
And nobody wants to acknowledge that. Or not enough people want to acknowledge that.
And one of the other things that was so aggravating about the conversations that I've had is that the moment that you become critical of her as a black man, now I'm tearing down black women. I'm like, no, I don't see any black women here.
Well, she's black. She's black. She's just not ADOS. Yeah.
She's not us.
Yeah.
So I don't see how I'm tearing down one of ours. If I'm critical of an Asian person, I'm just critical of them for their policies or their career or their past, and that's that. I'm not being anti-Asian.
But let me say something,
But
Carla. I'm
getting
gonna
this
let
from-
you.
I'm
Carla, I'm
getting
gonna let you
this from
finish.
black women.
Let me just interject 1 second. Even if she was
Uh-huh.
ADOS, and we know she's not, but let me just say this: we have a whole congressional black caucus that has some people who are not ADOS, but we got ADOS politicians there too. Part of the problem is that even with our own politicians, we're not critical enough. This whole thing that we've been doing, where we just kind of sit by and we're not gonna say nothing because they ADOS, or we're not gonna say nothing because they black. How's that working out? It ain't worked out. You gotta be. We haven't been critical enough, even of our own.
Well, I mean, we have the evidence of that. We got the Clyburns, and John Lewis has passed away and done nothing, and we have the evidence that just being black isn't enough.
Yep.
So I don't know why there's this whole sister girl movement behind her, and anybody that's critical of that automatically becomes A, you're xenophobic, and then B, you're anti-female. I'm like, that's the furthest thing in the world from the truth.
Well, and I think it's a boule. I think it's a boule sister girl movement. Like I don't think if you go somewhere right now where ordinary black women are talking, yeah, you're gonna find some of them like I heard good things about Kamala. But if you and you gonna find some of that. But like the people who are like online pushing, like not you don't know enough, what you should. I'm not saying that, but are like online pushing this narrative. A lot of those people are professionals and have professional degrees and jobs, and they want to get in some kind of way. They want to be a part of what's happening. They see their own elevation in her, and I think that's a boule problem too that we're gonna have to deal with.
Oh yeah, all of them, all of the power elite, the sororities and fraternities have these, this cliquish nature that they're here and they've arrived, and the rest of the world has to catch up with them. And I'm like, no, because honestly, with Kamala and Biden as a president, vice president combination, all I can say is welcome to the Hunger Games. Because this is COVID America right now. We got 40 million people unemployed. And that's just the ones that count. We're not talking about all the black people that were already unemployed before COVID even hit. We're not going to count the 700,000 black men in prison. We're not going to count the people that just dropped off the planet that are living in tents in California and all over this country. So that number could easily be double. And most of that, a large portion of that is going to be us coming soon, with New York rolling back the moratorium on eviction and everything else. They're going to put people in the street. And then I'm going to ask you if that ski weed is going to put a roof over your house, over your head.
Don't ask him that, fam. Don't hit him that hard. No.
I got to, sis. I got to.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly because I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing.
75-year-old grandmother, mother-in-law, and she was on some, we got to support the sister. And I'm like, I still don't see no sister here.
And then like we have to support policy, fam. Like we have to support policy. We have to support a specific set of policies that are beneficial to us, as opposed to supporting an individual person. We have to be beyond that. We have to support an agenda as opposed to a personality or a politician. How come we can't get beyond that? I don't really care who has my agenda. If you have it though, then you have my support, and I'm gonna hold you to it. That's just what it is.
And then the other attack is, well, we got to get rid of Trump because he's a racist. Well, Biden has proven himself to be just as, if not more, racist than Trump. He just says it nicer. So which one do you want? Do you want Bull Connor or do you want Strom Thurmond?
That's true. That's true.
They're both equally racist.
But they're going to tell us, no, they're going to tell you that Trump say it bad. And at the end of the day, they're going to have people crying in the streets when Trump get pushed out. And they're going to say, like, this is your reparations because we have our America back again. When has America ever been America for us? Not ever.
No. There's no land of milk and honey for us here because we were the ones milking the cows and we were the ones getting the bees out, get the bees out so they can get the honey.
Ain't it the truth? Ain't it the truth? I'll let you have the last word, caller.
Tomorrow I'm going to see my 95-year-old grandfather. And from him I get most of my wisdom. His grandfather was a slave. So the single most consequential thing in our lives is that man right there is 2 generations away from slavery. And we need to recognize them. You walk past them all the time in the street to see these very old 80 and 90 and 100-year-old people, and you've got to understand that they're 2 generations from slavery.
Thank you, fam. And I would go a step further. I think a lot of them were slaves. Them sharecroppers were slaves. Like, I know we don't want to call them slaves.
I have a whole video of him talking about when he went to work at 6 years old.
Yep.
And he got lent out to a man for $1.50 a week, and the man never paid him the $1.50.
Speak on it, fam. That's what we dealing with.
So, when are we going to go back to that person that took those wages and say, listen, I want my grandfather's money?
Oh, and when are we going to go back to the country that allowed that to happen? The country that said it was okay. Right. It's okay not to pay them. It's okay to have them as your slave. It's okay for them to be less than. When are we going to go back to the country that made that into law and say you owe us for granddaddy, great-granddaddy, great-grandmama, all of them, you owe a debt? When are we going to do that? As a group, as a mass.
We're not going to do it. We're going to applaud. We're going to applaud for somebody who came over here with $400,000 in their pocket.
You better speak on it, fam. Woo! Oh, that's a great point to end on, fam. I'm gonna end it right there. But you spoke a word today. I sure do appreciate you, fam. Woo-wee! We're gonna applaud somebody who came over here with $400,000. We don't know who we are. We gotta stop being lost. Being lost is a problem, fam. We gotta stop being lost. I'm going right now to 617. 617. What's going on? What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette. This is Kenny calling from Boston.
Wow.
I'm a descendant of Haitian immigrants and an ADOS ally.
Hey, what's up with you?
Two things, Yvette, that I want to talk about. So first off, I'm not surprised that the media is giving Kamala Harris like all this positivity for being the choice for VP. Like the Democratic Party are going to position themselves this election to be just straight anti-Trump, meaning the only thing that matters is getting him out of office. But the only people that get chastised by the media for demanding real policy changes in exchange of votes is black people and even more specific, ADOS. Like Joe and Kamala are not going to commit to like even defunding the police. So like Black America again is only just getting a good wall photo for the Joe and Kamala ticket. Second thing, like after hearing tonight's podcast, I think Tom had in his last video or the one before that, his theory for Kamala dropping out of the race. Which just in order to become the VP, choice. Like that's starting to make sense to me because like it's a safer play for Kamala to do because if she wins this election with Joe, then she's really easily going to become the first female president.
Slide right in there.
Then like. Yeah, then like her electability record won't be hit as badly if she loses with Joe as the VP choice, not the president choice. So yeah, she's just a careerist, and she'll do anything to become the first woman president.
And white women gonna be upset too if she becomes the first. Go ahead, Fab. I'm sorry. I got tickled.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just saying that's all. Have a good night. Vote that ballot.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's the truth. That she's just a careerist. She's just a careerist. That's what it is. And we have a lot of them. We have a lot of people. Now, look, there are two kinds of politicians. There are politicians that get into office because they really want to do something for people, and people who just see this as a way to just have a wonderful career for themselves and to have more power. Now, some of those people who come into it for good reasons become careerists along the way, right? Or they become a cog in the wheel. The machine becomes too powerful for them. I don't get any kind of feel that Kamala decided to do this out of any. You can't tell me right now. Anybody, if you support Kamala, why don't you tell me what she believes in? Can anybody tell me what she believes in? I can't tell you what she believes in. She ain't never articulated, and I think it's because she don't believe in nothing. Anyway, let's go to the next caller. I am going now to 919. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 919? I don't know what's going on with 919. So I'm going now. Made a mistake. I am going now to 719. 719, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Queen. Thank you for accepting my call. This is Twine. I'm calling from Salt Lake City.
What's going on?
I'd like to say I don't think they're gonna get rid of 45. I think he's gonna be here for another 4 years.
You think they're gonna re-elect Trump?
Yeah, I think they're gonna re-elect Trump. You know, I don't think Biden don't get nothing going no way.
I mean, but the coronavirus is running wild. Don't you think that's enough for people to be like, he gotta go? Like, I mean, because it's him. This man wouldn't even wear a mask until like a little while ago. Like,
yeah, it's all part of the same, you know, the lead agenda. I think it's just all part of their plan, you know. So I don't think you gonna go nowhere. I think it's all part of the agenda, you know. But as far as the black community in America, I think first thing we need to do is march on the White House. The second thing I think we need to do is we've never in this country identified ourselves tribally, you know, nationally or internationally. I think that's why we have a lot of identity theft, you know, as far as hip hop, politics, you know, just everyday life. But
yeah. Well, thank you.
I think that's the two main things we need to do. We need to take it straight to the White House, march on the White House, you know, demand reparations for the foundational black needs of this country.
Appreciate it, fam.
And I think we need to identify ourselves.
Yeah, and that's kind of what ADOS is trying to do, identify ourselves as ADOS. But so I appreciate your call. Thank you so much for calling in, because that's part of what ADOS is. Like, that's part of the ADOS thing. Like, we have to carve ourselves out as a specific group with a specific cost and a specific contribution to the country. So that's where we are. I am going now to 205. 205, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Can you hear me, Yvette?
I certainly can.
Oh, all right, appreciate it. This Brad, from Alabama.
What's going on with you?
Anyway. But I wanna touch on. I started by touching on Akon.
He's like,
can you hear me clearly? I want to make sure.
No, I can hear you clearly. I can hear you clearly. You coming through loud and clear here, crystal clear.
Okay. But Akon talking all that crazy stuff, talking about we need to get over slavery, you know. And if Akon can hear the show tonight, I just want Akon to know that it's hard for ADOS to get over slavery when white people still having Civil War reenactments and still talking about the South will rise again. So he just overstepping his boundaries. I think he overstayed his welcome as guest, and hopefully I'm not making no demands because the brother is a free man and I respect him either way it go. But hopefully Mike, also known as Killer Mike by his stage name, hopefully he can show his seriousness and his solidarity to ADOS by checking Akon on what he said. Saying we need to get over slavery. Because Senegal tried to get reparations. I seen an article on that in 2001.
Uh-oh.
So to try to come and interrupt our movement, and when we catapulted Akon career.
Think about what you just said, family. Understand, we didn't just catapult his career. He came here and slid into our culture, right? And worked with a bunch of ADOS artists, and then the people who listened to his music were overwhelmingly in America. We're not saying they're not black immigrants here. We had allies calling tonight the last time, but overwhelmingly, we're still the majority of black people. People who know. So you made a bunch of money from us. You slid into us. You would not be here. We were the ones who allowed you to come here because the Immigration Act came right after the Civil Rights Act of 1965. So you owe everything to us, and then your repayment for that is to slap us in the face, right? So I don't know why, but then this is the same person who was sitting down with 6ix9ine doing all kind of little weird stuff, even though.
That was a dog whistle. You made a good point. That was a good point you made. That was a dog whistle. That was a spit in the face. That was a show of solidarity to the Hispanic community, another immigrant community. We see everything is an undercurrent. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even rappers don't even deal with that guy. Like, you will do what it shows is just like somebody put up a clip of somebody in Senegal like making fun of somebody for coming from slaves. So we already know that's kind of how you think, and you didn't say that because you needed to make money off of us. Well, now you feel like you're in a moment where you can say that, and like there has to be a consequence in the sense of we don't work with you no more. We as ADOS don't deal with you no more. I don't care what you do or how you produce or how it sounds. We don't mess with you no more. We're not good at giving people consequences and like we're gonna shut you out. We're gonna shut you down. You don't get to work with us no more. We don't care. And like we have to care enough for people to be like, oh my God, if I disrespect their lineage or their culture, they're gonna like shut me out of the community, and they run this community. They're the majority here. We don't do that enough.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead, fam.
If Killer Mike have solidarity with ADOS, that his responsibility as an icon in hip hop to do that. What you saying to exclude Akon? That is his responsibility if he take ADOS as a serious movement, and if he has any solidarity with us.
I get what you're saying, fam. I understand what you're saying. I think it's all of us. Yeah, I think it's all of us, him included. But all of us. No, we're not doing this with you no more. And let me tell you something else. I'm not teaching nobody no more. I got books. You got books. You could have bought some books. You bought an ugly bright red suit. You can buy some books. That was the ugliest suit I have ever seen on a Negro. You bought that suit. Well, now that lime green thing from last week, that suit with whatever. But that was ugly. If you can do that, you can buy a book. Books are much cheaper. You can get books now for $10. Or even less than that, depending on how long the book is. Buy a book, sir. Hush, nobody talk. And nobody you even talk. You went and talked to Vlad. Like, Vlad, who told you to? Like, that's just your come up now. Like, is stuff really falling off that bad for you that your come up is to be like, I think you just gotta let it go? Who asked you to talk? Nobody asked you to say nothing ever. I ain't never asked, well, I've never sat around and thought, what is Akon's opinion on slavery? I ain't never had that thought, not a day in my life. He put out a song, Locked Up, Mass Incarceration.
I had a second opinion. Let me make my second comment, Yvette. That what Akon did, that should be an insult, and for real, he should not be allowed into any hip hop events from now on. For what he did, for what he said in the United States about us, it blackball. I'll talk like from now on, for real. But moving on. Let's get on to Kamala Harris.
Go ahead.
Kamala Harris. Okay, now Kamala Harris, let's look at this as the common denominator.
The common denominator is one thing which you said. Barack Obama would not have ever got elected if he would not have married Michelle Obama.
This is true.
If he would have married the white woman of his dreams, that he, you know, that
there
he
were a few of them. There were a few of them.
Like that,
yep, there were a few white women of his dreams. Yep.
That would have messed up his whole little presidency thing he was trying to get.
That's just true.
So now, after the George Floyd incident, after cities being burned down, after all this going on, protests, now we have all this political capital from the murder of George Floyd originally.
Breonna Taylor and all of that thing to happen.
Ending up, but Breonna Taylor died as a result of a protest that was about George Floyd, right?
No. It was all like, it was, what made this protest what made this whole thing kind of different is that it was a cluster. So like anytime, and I knew it was going to be big, because anytime you have the deaths of black people, ADOS people at the hands of police, you have them close together. It's going to be big because it shows a pattern. Patterns are always important. If you can show a pattern, you can do something with it. You can move the world with a pattern. And so, no, it was just like, this happened to Louisville, and then this happened over here. And it's like, oh, all this stuff.
How did she die, though? Because I'm not really in depth in that story. I know she was killed in her home.
Yeah.
But I don't know the ins and outs of it.
Well, she was actually killed early. Like, but the thing is, like, we heard that was like a cover-up. And so people didn't know about it till later. Because they weren't really putting it out and talking about it. So so her death happened. Or her death might have happened in March, fam. Like, tell me when. I think Breonna's death was in murder. Was like March. But see, the thing is, there was a cover up.
All right, what I'm saying is, because I don't want to get off track of what I was trying to say. All right, Breonna Taylor, and rest in peace, Breonna Taylor, most definitely, and rest in peace, George Floyd, most definitely. But the disproportionate number of victims of police brutality is black males. Alright, so the original protest was about George Floyd, a black male, right? Which goes on with the disproportionate number. 2015, out of the 104 people unarmed, killed by the police, 96 of them were black men. 96 of them were black men in 2015, but that still became the year of Say Her Name, right? And which is no problem because Sandra Bland was an activist and she deserved that.
She did.
She deserved that.
She
I want to add
did.
that in too. But let me say this. All of that happened about George Floyd, all that, the disproportionate number, because when we're talking about racism, we're not talking about George Floyd. We're talking about groups of people. So the disproportionate number of black men that are killed every year by the police ended up being about exclusively picking a black woman. Right? And no one was upset about that.
So what you're saying,
about that.
So what you're saying is that Kamala's kind of career was built off the death of disproportionately, not all, because you said that Sandra Bland deserved that and Breonna Taylor happened. But what you saying? No, I'm not listening. I'm not. Hold on. Let me
finish what I'm saying.
No. You got to finish this quick because I'm finna say something, then you got to wrap it up. So what you're saying, what you're saying is kind of like we have to pick a woman of color based on like disproportionate black male murder. That's what you're saying. Now go. You see that?
What I'm saying is, and that's basically what you're saying, and that's basically it. But it would not have been so cool. It would not have been so okay if people would have just said, okay, since black men have been disproportionately murdered by police, and we got all these riots, we're gonna, as the DNC, we're gonna show solidarity with the black community by having an ADOS male as vice president. That wouldn't have been cool either, right? Because it's substance over symbolism.
I don't think we're gonna have
we're just saying, we going with the ideals and the mindset of what we're going with right now.
Okay, yeah, but I don't think we're gonna have an ADOS anybody.
But I'm gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
Let me say this. I'm gonna wrap it up. Let me say these few words.
20 seconds.
All right. So if they would have said, "Let's make this about black males," everybody would have been outraged. Everybody would have been outraged. You can't be a VP unless you an ADOS male. This is chauvinism, et cetera, But see, the DNC, they play it smart. They waited to see how excluding black males was gonna fly, and once that was cool, they turned on the feminists the same way they always have. Right?
All right.
And they said, well, okay, we're gonna pick a black woman.
I got you, fam. I got you. I got you. We got you, fam. We got you. We gotta
play a small game, Yvette.
I agree. But we gotta let you go, fam. We gotta let you go. We gotta let you go because we gotta get through some other people, fam. I apologize, but we gotta let you go. Because we only got, they do play a smart game, but we only got a certain amount of time to kind of get to a lot of callers, and it's not fair to everybody if like you take more time. So let me go to 202. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, how you doing? Solomon calling from Baltimore. You know, this whole Kamala VP thing has me feel like I'm taking crazy pills, man. Like I'm living out of time. Like you can see what when the policy go bad, like Tone said, how everybody's going to be backtracking. You're just like, man, I'm telling you now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I really don't understand the logic because I understand that us as ADOS, we have one layer of critique, which is that, you know, she got picked. Her whole campaign is premised on the cost of being ADOS when she's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's one layer of critique that we have. But the other layer of critique that we have is that what makes that so insidious is that she's not coming with black policy. You know, so even if you don't subscribe to the ADOS identity, which we know you should if you are ADOS, where is your self-interest, you know, for black policy? You know, one example that Karen Hunter just did a show, I think it was either today or yesterday, where they're talking about, you know, Kamala being VP, and some of the pushback that people had through the comment section, I'm sure she anticipated, was that, hey, Kamala has locked up, has aggressively gone after black folks, locking them up. You know, the truancy laws, truancy issue, the issue with Mike Richardson. You know, some of her comments in the video was, you know, well, how many of those black people were guilty?
Wow.
You're ostensibly for black policy, and even the whole truancy thing. Well, actually, it was really just about getting children educated. Well, where's your mind on black policy? Because if you think that there's a correlation between crime and non-attendance in school, well, how do you think locking up the parents of those children is going to have better educational outcomes for the children? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me, you know, whatsoever. And one of the ways I see that folks try to rationalize is, well, we have to get Trump out of the White House. We only have two parties. This is the lesser of two evils. Well, you're talking about a matter of degree, not direction.
A matter. Say that again. You're talking about a matter of degree, not direction. You got to say that one more time.
A matter of degree and not direction. And as black folk, the faster and closer we approach the economic cliff, strategically choosing on a matter of degree becomes more and more irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? I know she understands this because she just had Dr. Darity on the show a few weeks ago talking about wealth and reparations, which, by the way, she conspicuously omits Yvette and Tone and Adolf in the interview.
Story of my life.
You know, so I don't understand. It's one thing to not have the one layer of critique about her lineage. I agree with the critique, but if you don't have that, fine. But then where's the critique on her policies? I just don't get it.
well, and the thing is, fam, like, you have to do what works, right? And one of the things that we have kind of learned is that it just don't work. Like, if this incrementalism worked, I would be for it, right? If we were middle class, but we didn't have the wealth level that we needed, but we were all stable, like overwhelmingly, I would say, well, it's working. We don't have nearly as many poor. We're not a bottom caste. We're just not where we want to be. What you see is that we just fall harder. It's just get worse for us. and it's getting better for everybody else. So solidarity is great for Kamala, because she gets to come in here and attach herself to us and cloak herself to us in the solidarity and elevate herself. It's horrible for us though, because we never get anything out of it.
Well, that's the thing. Is that I don't understand the cognitive dissonance, because on the one hand, you know, you have the black intellectual, the black talking class that ostensibly has a grasp of African American history in this country, and a grasp that incrementalism does not work. But at the same time, we get Joe Biden because we only have a two-party system. You know, instead of the self-reflection, it says, well, that's because you didn't do a politics in the 4 years prior to that to elect someone else. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah. I'll leave you with that. But
Thank
also,
you.
You know, the last caller had mentioned Breonna Taylor. Mm-hmm. He wasn't real versed on it. You know, I think it was Vice News did a story on Breonna Taylor not too long ago, and they were talking about how in Louisville, the police department and Housing and Human Development have gotten together to do place-based crime reduction in the cities, in parts of the city that they want to gentrify. So basically, they're not identifying criminals; they identify places essentially where crime takes place. You know, there's one house that they had raided a bunch of times just so they could issue an order removal for the guy, and they can sell this house. They sold it at $1, by the way.
Yep. There's a great that's a great story on that about the gentrification in the city.
There's speculation that Breonna Taylor's neighborhood was a part of that.
A part of gentrification, and that was a way. Yeah. Well, what he's saying is that there's speculation that the way that they were going to gentrify was to basically do what they did, kind of storm in these houses, do whatever, you know, so that they could do what they got to do, sell them for a little nothing, and it's a whole story. You got to check it out. It's really interesting. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, Carl.
Anyway, good to talk to you. Haven't talked to you guys in a while. Thank you for all that you guys do. And catch you the next time.
All right, fam. Appreciate it. I'm going to go right into the next caller, everybody. I'm going to 202. 202, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Nat calling from Washington, D.C.
Okay.
First want to say thanks for taking my call.
No
Your haircut is dope.
Oh, thank you. What are we talking about?
You and Antonio do. So I'll be very brief and you know, to the point. 2 points that I want to make. One, I'm just so exhausted with the blatant, you know, way that we're ignoring, black people are ignoring, once again, the tokenism. But with Kamala in particular, you know, people demanded Biden select a black woman VP. He selects a, quote, you know, unquote, black woman VP. So once again, we're dancing in the streets like we've overcome.
Yeah.
I don't get it, and it's frustrating because, you know, on my Facebook, a lot of the folks that follow me are professional contacts. And these are smart people. There's some, you know, pretty high up positions within D.C. and Maryland, Virginia government, and you think they would know better, and it's just so hard.
And they don't.
Because it is a partly professional page for me to not just come out guns a-blazing. So my one thing I wanted to kind of let you know, and maybe some of the other listeners will jump onto this tag. I have actually named, anytime I talk about Joe Biden on Twitter and Facebook, I call him Jim Crow Dementia Joe. And
Lord,
I have
you making fun of the man's illness. That ain't right. You done made fun of. I said you made fun of his illness. That's not right. We all know he a little gone.
I know that. I know it's not right. But listen, he's slipping. We all know this. It's not
That's
right. It's not right to put this man in office. He's no more, you know, mentally capable than Trump. But with Kamala, you might like this one a little better. I call her Chameleon Queen.
Oh yeah,
that's what she is. She's, you know.
yeah. She is whoever she got to be. She is whoever she got to be.
In drag at a ball. That's what's going on with her, and it's frustrating. The other comment that I want to make, and then I'm done. I want to take more time. Still really, really reeling from this email from indirectly from Kinshasa, Kimbui, that was sent to Nikema Levy-Armstrong regarding Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman.
Oh, I saw that. I posted it. Oh, talk about it. Sorry, fam. Talk about it, fam. I'm sorry.
No, so Congressman Omar making these comments about the African American community being jealous of Somalis. So, little anecdote here, I'm actually originally from Columbus, Ohio, and grew up around quite a bit of Somalis, because that is actually the second largest area in the country where they live primarily. And, you know, I didn't grow up in an area of any sort of great wealth. In fact, you could call it, you know, the projects, really. And even within the projects, they put themselves way higher than us. They were friends with us, and, you know, would make little sly jokes about us not really being into education and all those things. But then when the strict traditions of their religious homes weighed heavy, they said, you know, they were coming to us, you know, for relief, and trying to, you know, ingratiate themselves with us so that they could get away from, you know, the nuttiness that was going on in their homes. And a lot of their businesses were set up in Black communities. So it was very frustrating to hear her say this. My point with bringing up Omar is that her whole entire persona of being this people person, all for equality, everyone's welcome, is fraudulent. 100%.
So what do you think she really wants?
Annoying, and what's that?
What do you think she really wants? If it's not equality, what's her end game? Who do you think? What you think she feels?
Well, I don't think that she's any different from any other group that gets into politics. You're, you know, for the most part, you know, you want to elevate the profile. You want to elevate the lives of folks who look like you, and that's it. And I just kind of feel like, how dare you? This isn't even your home country. Like, how dare you come here and, you know, and ride this wave on our backs and then insult us?
Well, she said we were jealous. She said on the call that ADOS are jealous of Somali's success. How can we be jealous of refugees?
Not only that, my problem too with her is that she did this in a call where she assumed that her entire audience was white.
Yeah.
So for me, that's telling. She didn't even know there was a Black woman on the call who would take issue with this. And it reminds me very much of the conversation that Kamala had in this video she did. I think it was I know it was from 2010, wherein she addressed this group, essentially laughing and making light of the fact that she came up with this truancy program, and thought, you know, it made sense to, you know, to be happy about arresting or threatening the arrest and incarceration of single women whose children weren't going to school. It just laughed and grinned like a whole coon. It was annoying.
Yeah, I saw that video. I saw that video too. And you know, we haven't really differentiated between ally and enemy in terms of our politics. And so we can't even tell her. Like, what she does is she performs for the white gays. I'm talking about Ilhan Omar. So you perform for the white gays over here. Well, these blacks are different. I'm different from these blacks. So you represent like this poor, this district, right? George Floyd, everything that happened there. And you get around white people and say, I'm not like those. And they're just kind of, because they asked her, for those who want context, they asked Ilhan Omar why she was having trouble with African Americans in terms of reaching them. And she said, well, I think they're just jealous of Somalis. That's what she kind of said. And not kind of, that's what she said. And it's just kind of like, Ilhan, if you watch the show, like, we're not jealous of refugees. Like, you're saying that we who built the country are jealous of people who had to run away from a failed country. Or people who are prosecuted politically. All of the reasons that you can be refugees. Like, there's nothing you can do to make us jealous of you. We've been mistreated, but you can't make us jealous of you. So this idea and how you go and perform for the white gays, I just hope you lose your next election. I'm just gonna put that out there, because you're awful for ADOS politics specifically, and the greater kind of, I hate the word like black political agenda. You and I don't know why more people can't see it. But go on, fam. I'm gonna let you finish your thought.
No, that was really it. Just, you know, the frustration that we haven't learned, you know, from Obama. This is, you know, Obama 2.0, and all we can see, you know, all over my Twitter feed and all over, you know, my Facebook was, you know, officially the Howard homecoming is November 3rd, 2020, and it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
we'll never learn.
Yep.
We'll never learn. But anyway,
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, fam. And I saw somebody say she won her primary. She don't gotta lose this year. I'm just saying I hope she lose. It don't have to be this election cycle. I'm just saying I hope that eventually people kind of catch on to the game that she's playing. I don't know when that eventually will be. That could be, that could be next election. It could be 3-4 elections down the line. I don't know. But I hope eventually people kind of catch on, and you just, because you don't deserve to be there. Like, they're just jealous. How dare you call it? And then you throw another ADOS lawmaker under the bus. There's a whole lot going on that everybody should look into. I'm going to my next call. I am going to 252. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yvette.
What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this is Alicia from North Carolina.
Okay.
I'm 31 years old. I'm a millennial. And I just found you probably like last October, so I've been binge watching your videos.
Okay.
And I'm black. I'm a black American on both sides of my family. On my mom's side, I go back to plantations in Georgia. And on my dad's side, we come to plantations here in North Carolina. So, the first thing I wanted to say is that I see this deliberate business happening on social media right now, where just a few weeks ago, black Americans wanted to crucify Daniel Cameron, who is the Attorney General for Kentucky, over not pursuing justice for Breonna Taylor.
Okay.
But now they support Kamala, and she will get justice for Marquise Richardson. And he was the Attorney General that was supposed to handle that case properly. That's my understanding. And to me, that's just a real dissonance in wanting to crucify the Attorney General, who was a black man who won't do anything concerning Breonna Taylor, but you support Kamala when she didn't do anything for my truth.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I think you just said something about it a few minutes ago, the kind of blue-ray status black Americans that we have some. I don't know, something happens where they become obsessed with Africa after reaching blue-ray status, and they don't seem to understand that the reason why the further up the hierarchy they climb out of poverty, why they don't see more black Americans in their circles. And I'm seeing this thing on social media right now where a lot of black American influencers, particularly who are artists and entertainers, are actually pushing, in my opinion, being used to promote non-black Americans. And it's like they don't have the education or understanding to realize, like, we're being used. And I feel like over the last 2 weeks, it's just been like a full-on attack on black Americans between, Beyonce, the biggest entertainer in the world, telling us we need to be connected to a continent that we haven't been to in 400 years. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, but they just announced the Fred Hampton movie, and Daniel
I saw it.
is playing the lead role. And I've been seeing people online calling him King Kaluuya for playing Fred Hampton. But at the same time, Lakeith Stanfield, who is a black American, and they cast him as a traitor, is allegedly having some mental health issues right now.
Well, because they always cast us as the traitors. Yeah, they always cast us as the traitors. Don't understand that. We can't play our heroes no more. We get to play the traitors. I don't care whether it's Harriet. I don't care what movie it is. They make up traitors, real and imagined. Whether they make us into the bad guy and Killmonger, they gonna make us into the traitors. In all of the black movies, we're gonna be the traitors, and they're gonna elevate somebody else to play us. And let me just say this: Kaluuya is not a good actor. Don't nobody want to say it. Don't nobody want to say it. But he sounded like a black exploitation movie. What you gonna do? You jive turkey? It's about blackness. You can't kill the movement. I thought he was gonna say, put on your shark skin shoes. I mean, come on. This is not acting. This is kind of mimicry. Mimicry is not acting, and he's having a hard time for the same reason Cynthia Erivo had a very hard time, because you don't have anything to pull from. It's not about just reading words and making your mouth and face and bucking your eyes. Like, playing ADOS is having something to pull from, and a lot of times that comes from family and friends and what we know about our struggle, and you don't have it. So maybe you can do the Shakespearean thing. Maybe you should be somewhere else doing some kind of play. Maybe you should be in community theater. I don't know. But you're not good at these ADOS roles. And I think it's because you don't have anything to really pull from. And people got to stop acting like they're better, because I'm watching these movies and you're not better. So I'm going to let you finish up, fam. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I just think it's I don't know. It's just interesting how so many things. I feel like, especially what's happening just the last 2 weeks, we're being inundated with so much. As you and Antonio have both said, that tries to flatten our experience with black and brown, people of color. I mean, it's like BIPOC.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And the third thing that I wanted to say. So being from North Carolina, I'm from a particularly segregated part of the state. And so the area that I come from, the black people here are used to being in homogeneously black American spaces. They don't have a lot of exposure to black immigrants. And I used to work in an elementary school, and I asked my kids, this maybe 2 years ago, it was right after Black Panther came out, and I started working at the school, and I asked my kids who were ADOS, and I said, did y'all see Black Panther? And they said, yeah. I said, did you enjoy it? They said, yeah. But they didn't internalize it. They still, they just turned it into, let's salute each other with the Wakanda symbol, and this is our hero. I think they understood from just a perspective. It was really cool to see a superhero movie with all black people, but they didn't identify with it. And that's what I was saying earlier. I think something happens to us when we. And I'm all for education. I have a bachelor's degree. I come from a family of people that are educated. But I feel like something happens to us when we feel like we've reached that boule professional status, where suddenly we want to anchor ourselves in an identity that does not belong to us, instead of anchoring ourselves in who we are here. Because a lot of regular black American people that you meet who may not have a college degree, who live in homogeneously black American spaces and are, for the most part, surrounded by themselves, they're not obsessed with Africa.
Yeah.
Talk about Africa.
No, I agree. I agree.
And so,
no, I agree.
And so, what you said earlier about, kind of this boule professional class, and the bullying that's happening on social media right now is ridiculous. I mean, it's like, if you dare say that you don't support Kamala right now, I mean, it's nasty. It is nasty. And
I agree.
It's very sad. Like I said, I'm a millennial. I just found it. I'm very happy to have discovered. And I don't mean discovered because I'm taking credit. I mean, I just found out who you were.
That's fine. I got it.
And then
it's fine. It's fine.
But I definitely, I've been trying to. I have spoken numerous times on my social media accounts about reparations. And the last thing is, I'm amazed at how I have read several articles that will talk about what's happening with black Americans in this country and still end it with people of color.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost
end it with black and brown.
I agree.
It's amazing. It's almost like you're going to get fined if you don't throw it in there.
Well, yeah, you have to talk. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I thank you, fam. I appreciate you calling in and binging the videos. I appreciate you. I'm gonna answer some of what you said offline. Thank you so much, fam. But I think that's the way it is. Like, we don't have articles about us anymore. Like, it's always like Latinx and black people, or Latinx and African Americans, and Latinx and it's just like, no. If you break out the data, you will see it's not Latinx. Something like, a lot of the time, like, somebody did something on the school to prison pipeline, and it was just like Latinx and black, and it was just like, no. When you pull out the data, when you disaggregate it, like, this is like overwhelmingly ADOS. Like, this isn't Latinx. Like, stop putting us together. Like, talk about them and talk about us. Like, talk about them and talk about us. But don't throw us into the same, because we don't have the same experiences, the same lineage, the same anything. So it doesn't make any sense, And I think people get caught up in the pageantry of the moment and the imagery, but that doesn't fill hungry stomachs, and that is not necessarily, it's absolutely not just not necessarily, it's not good politics. So, fam, I appreciate everybody calling in. Tonight was a thick night. There's still people in there trying to get in, and we're going to have to get that next time, fam, because we are at the end of the show. It has been an interesting day. This will not let, for those who didn't get through today, don't worry. This is not going to be the last of this. We're going to be talking about this for a long time. We're going to be talking about this probably after the election. I don't even know when we going to know who won the election. Anybody know? Because Trump done disrupted the mail-in and all the stuff we're trying to do to count the votes. It's going to be a mess. But we're going to be having this conversation. This is not going to be the last of the Kamala conversation. So do not fret if you did not get through tonight or today. Do not fret about, because the lines were so busy today. So do not fret. We're going to continue to have this conversation. This is going to be an ongoing conversation. I know a lot of you are going to be very angry, as I am, because it don't make no sense, fam. But, it is what it is, and we continue and we carry on and we push on and hope that our family wakes up to what is going on. We hope it, but we just don't see a lot of it going on, but we don't know. We just don't know. So, fam, please, if you are in there right now, please hit that like button for me. Please hit that like button for me. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell, adosmerch.com, for a shirt. You can do all of that stuff. Also, but please hit that like button. Please hit that bell to get notifications. Please hit that bell to get notifications and check your notification. Also, please subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel. Please do that for me. I would appreciate it. That is very, very, very important. So in the newsletter link is, if you want to get the newsletter, that link is in the bio. So please do all of that as well, family. And, try to keep it easy breezy. COVID is still out here. Everybody's head is below water and all the stuff going on. And we running around here acting like everything is okay. It's a very interesting time to kind of be alive. I don't know. It's a very interesting time. So, fam, until next time, be easy breezy. Finish your libation. Get some rest. Rest is very important to the physical body. So get some rest, fam. And I will see you next time.